So am I crazy? Can you tell by looking at me? What am I doing? Is it normal behavior? Who decides if it's normal behavior or not? What is your heart telling you?
What fascinated me the most about the deviant behavior chapter was that from a relativistic point of view, it is in the eye of the beholder. That being true, then we really have to pay special attention to those things that we can see and that we can identify, because there's way too much that we can't ever know about somebody.
Okay, for the record, I'm not crazy, even though I've been acting crazy as this begins. I've been thinking about what I want to do, and what I want to do basically is give the briefest, most basic understanding that I can present about how we define deviant behavior amongst ourselves as a society, a group of people living together, and a couple examples of how we handle it and what that means to the way we look at the world and how the world affects us. Okay, so cutting this down to its simplest form, social definition: one person, another person. One person sees murder and rape as definite deviant behaviors, yet maiming, smoking around a child, or stealing food, perhaps because you're starving, as being not deviant behavior. Where another person in the society sees murder, rape, maiming, smoking around children, and stealing food all as deviant behavior. So now as a society, they say murdering's deviant behavior. We're going to call it a crime, or we're going to decide how we're going to handle it. As a frontline defense to protect ourselves from shared views of what we consider deviant behavior, criminalization is perfect. It doesn't work all the time, and it's not a perfect system, but it definitely curbs the effect of aberrant behavior on us as a whole. In the example of person A and person B, deciding what to do about murder is very simple because there'd only be one person left. But in a society such as ours, which is composed of many, many people, it quickly deteriorates into something that is very complex and very hard to explain. Motives can quickly transcend simply preventing pain and suffering and entering into the world of control, power, and ultimately into greed. My example of how these mixed motives can affect what is a crime and is not is going to be smoking. To me, it's like this picture. It's crazy. It doesn't make any sense. We know it'll kill you. We not only know it'll kill you on a greater frequency than almost everything else that kills people, and yet kids do it every single day in America. So when I'm looking at this and I'm thinking to myself, how is this what I consider to be deviant behavior being allowed to happen? I have to consider those three motives again: pain and suffering, sense of power, and sense of greed, and how they combine to ultimately drive the force that creates our laws, and come to the sometimes unpleasant understanding that through this process, some people benefit more than others. Okay, quick recap here. I described the way person A and person B, representing a society, can come together and define a deviant behavior. That was murder. And I used an example of criminalization as one of the ways in which we approach how to handle that. Then I gave an example using a non-criminal behavior about smoking and how different motives are in play to figure out if it's a crime. Are we going to consider it a crime? Are we going to consider it, quote unquote deviant? And should we do anything else about it? I could go on, but I wanted to make this as simple as possible to show that as a society, it's about shared views, shared opinions, and the powers at play in bringing those to life. They aren't always just about the issue. So in conclusion, I want you to consider this woman here. She's like us in a society, and a society is the act itself. The other members of the crew they're like the government and the legislature and the things that we put in place that help us to control deviant behavior in our society, define it, regulate it, medicate it, whatever we decide to do. She trusts them but not so much that she doesn't have a net. And she practiced with them, and if she doesn't like one of these gentlemen, she'll find someone else that works. That's what we need to remember about as a society. We don't have to go blindly into the air and spin and hope that things happen. We have a voice. We have a way of expressing ourselves. And I hope we never forget that. Change is the preeminent characteristic of modern human societies, whether it occurs in personal relationships, cultural norms and values, systems of stratification, or institutions. Everywhere you look, your school, your job, your home, your government, and every aspect of your way of life, institutional and cultural change is the rule, not the exception.